Hi, we're at the Glacier Point Ranger housing area, and it's rooms for about 6 rangers to live here. And so for 26 years, this was my cabin. I got to live here. Since I was supervisor, I would always leave this light on every night because you never knew what was going to happen at 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Somebody would knock on your door. There would be a motor vehicle accident on the road, a car upside down. It could be a log across the road or a lost child. So anyway, I wanted the visitors, in an emergency to come to my cabin first. And then if I needed to wake up other people, I could go get them. Anyway, one day I was just finished work. It was August of 1996. Just finished work. I was inside my cabin. It was about 6:30 or so, and all of a sudden, a massive earthquake hit. I mean, the whole cabin was just moving back and forth. It was I was like, I didn't think the cabin was going to stay on its foundation, so I ran out of the door. I stood on this rock, and I was just going like this, going with the earthquake. It was wild. And then the other ranger in the cabin down below, I saw him run out of the cabin too, and he's standing outside his cabin. So we're both going like this, and all of a sudden, we both realized there was like a military jet flying at treetop level. So we're both looking up, and we're both rocking around, and then we realized, my gosh, there were a squadron of the jets, because it was like 4 or 5 of them together, because a lot of times they'll do formation, and they'll fly in formation over. So we're both looking like this, we're both going around, and we couldn't, we have a pretty good view of the sky, but we couldn't see the jets, and we couldn't understand. It was like, anyway, after, I don't know, a minute or two, the earthquake finally ended, but the jets disappeared about the same time, and we never did see them. So anyway, that was pretty exciting. I yelled to him, 6.5, and he yelled back 7.0, because he lives in Santa Cruz, and he had just been through the Loma Prieta earthquake, so he knew exactly how much it rocked. Anyway, so that was the end of that excitement. So I'd finished work, so I wanted to take a shower. So I grabbed my towel, walked down to the next building, because there's no hot water in the cabin, it's just a cold water faucet. Toilets and showers are in the building down the hill. So I grabbed my towel, went down, took a shower. I was walking back from the shower house, and I looked over toward Half Dome, and I couldn't see it. There was a dust cloud that was up sky. It had to have been 10, 15,000 feet high easy. The dust cloud was just completely obliterating the entire view. Half Dome was not visible. As soon as I saw that, I went, oh my God, I know what it was. It wasn't an earthquake. There were no jets. It was a massive rock slide. So I ran the last bit back to my cabin, grabbed the phone, dialed dispatch, and just goes, dispatch, this is Dick, Glacier Point, what's up? And it was about a 10-second delay. And the dispatcher, and of course I knew all the dispatchers, the dispatcher says, Dick, since it had been 15 minutes and you hadn't called, we thought you were gone. It was the biggest rock slide ever in Yosemite, and I'm the ranger at Glacier Point, so she figured I was gone. Anyway, I said, well, I'm not. I'm here. I said, well, where were you? Because normally I would never wait more than 1 minute to call in for an emergency, never mind the biggest rock slide ever. So she, what took you so long? I said, I was in the shower. And she goes, oh. Well, okay. Anyway, she told me all about it. I grabbed the other ranger. We jumped in the government car. We raced to the valley. We got down to the search and rescue office just as the first group of searchers were going out. So they said, great, get in with that group right there. So I was the second vehicle to go over to the Happy Isles area because, okay, the rockfall was like 83,000 tons of rock that cascaded off the edge of Glacier Point, not more than a quarter mile from here. And it cascaded down off the cliff and landed at Happy Isles. Anyway, I was the second vehicle in. As soon as we hit the area near Happy Isles, the first vehicle threw up so much dust. It was that fine, fine granite dust, just from thousands of tons of rock being smashed, that, anyway, I had to turn my wipers on. That first vehicle threw up so much dust I couldn't even see. Headlights couldn't see, and I was just hoping the vehicle behind me didn't smash into me. Anyway, we got to the area. We spent the whole night searching, and what we called the blast zone, where the tons and thousands of tons of rocks hit. It demolished everything right there. But the geologists estimate that there was a wind blast outward. Because when you have all that, like, when you drop a book on the floor, your papers blow away. It creates a little blast outward. They determined there was probably a wind blast of around 200 miles an hour. And some of the trees that I looked at that were still standing at the edge of the blast zone, I found rocks about softball size that had been embedded into the side of a pine tree that I couldn't pull out. So you can imagine what force it would take to embed a rock into a tree and stay there. Anyway, a whole night was basically searching for, well, bodies at that point. And so that blast zone area where we were walking through was just a mass of trees just piled on top of each other, all blown down. And we just had our flashlights, and nobody had masks. I mean, it was just awful breathing that granite dust all night long. I mean, nobody invented an N95 mask then. But all night long, we were just walking on these trees, and there were trees underneath us, you know, just in piles, and we were just shining our flashlights down, looking for anything that we could see. Did not find anyone all night long. And there was one person that had been killed, but they had found them very, very early on. And fortunately, it was, as far as I remember, that was the only person that was killed or injured, just that one person. But what an experience to spend all night searching that blast zone after feeling that blast zone from up here. But I mean, to actually be part of a historical event where, you know, a massive rock slides occur, thinking it was just an earthquake and jets, and then realizing later what it actually was. It was one of the, you know, more exciting, natural events I've ever lived through. I mean, I could go on with stories about other rock falls and other landslides, but anyway, there's one for right now.